Alright, what's up guys? Today we have a new video. Yes, I have Branded plus its combos. Branded just got huge buff. It got the Bystial cards, it got some new fusion monsters. The deck is actually quite strong. You've got a ton of new things that you could play with. The deck is super resilient, and most importantly, it's very good against tier limits now because the new Bystial cards. These basically banish light and dark monsters in our opponent's graveyard, which is very strong. Basically, whenever your opponent tries to fusion summon with tier limits, you can actually just banish the tier limit monster in the graveyard, and then they have to try to resolve as much as possible with what they have, and they might not have anything. So it's really, really good against them. And then, of course, it's actually really good against other decks, including the mirror match and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really strong deck. On top of that, we just have a ton of really cool options. We have Bystial Luber, which is in a lot of ways its own one-card combo. It can search any of the Bystials. You can banish. You can discard this and then add a. You can discard this to basically add any of the Bystials, and then you can tribute a dragon, summon this thing back, and then when this thing's summoned, you can activate one of the continuous branded cards, such as the branded beast, or the regained, or the branded lost. You can activate any one of those cards. All really, really good effects. Yeah, super resilient. We also have fusion deployment is really good in the deck. As far as new cards, Branded Regained is also really good. Basically, when a light and dark is banished, you can put those back in the deck and then draw a card, which is really awesome. And then when our opponent summons something, you can summon a Bystial, which is really good. Super Poly just got an amazing, gigantic buff because Garuga came out, and Garuga is basically one of the best. It is the best Super Poly target ever. It's any two monsters with the same type and attribute, which is most decks. Like, most decks have a bunch of monsters that are the same types and attributes. That's how Konami generally builds archetypes. And what's awesome about this is it can basically fuse away end boards in between the Mud Dragon and the Garuga. You have so much coverage of different things that can possibly... you have so much coverage that it's actually kind of unbelievable. Really good. And then on top of that, these guys here, we have the Branded Retribution making its way into the deck. We send so many cards from our extra deck to the graveyard that having two monsters in the graveyard turn one is very, very often possible. It's also got a really good graveyard effect, which obviously we're playing in a Shizu tier limit meta, so there's a ton of cards getting sent to the graveyard constantly, and this is really, really good because this graveyard effect is really strong. Basically, if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish it, and then you can add back a branded spell or trap. Awesome. That effect is good, and just there's a lot of milling right now, so it's actually quite helpful for us because we have like Despia Tragedy, which when it gets milled, it activates its effect. Mercurier, when it's banished out of the graveyard, we get to add a Fallen Valbaz card, which is really cool. There's just a lot of graveyard effects that trigger. This another one that's just really good when it hits the graveyard. And then we have Branded Beast, which is basically a card you can activate onto the field directly with Luber, which is really good. And when this are during the end phase, it can target a branded spawn trap card or a continuous branded spawn trap card and then place it onto the field, which is really cool because basically by placing it onto the field, if our opponent mills something with one of their Shizu cards, you basically get like a +2 just by having Branded Beast in play, and it has an effect to tribute a dragon to pop an opponent's card. Then for the extra deck, Garuga, obviously I spoke about, it's very, very good. Brigand makes its way back into the deck because it can search the Mercurier. We've also got the typical stuff going on here. But for the new cards, we've got the the Dust Dragon, which can send it basically can send a light or dark monster to the graveyard from the deck or extra deck, which is obviously very good. It can send Bystial Luber from the main deck, but from the extra deck, it can send like Albion, it can send Brigand, it can send all of the fusions here that have bonus graveyard effects, which is really cool. And then also we have the Rimbrand, which is a negative, essentially an extra deck monster, fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link monster, and it has a non-targeting bounce on top of that. Then we've got the Guardian Chimera and the Pro-Kishin, which is basically even better now because Super Poly is even better now. But that is the deck that I'm playing. Let's go to the more important part of the video, which is the combo. Alright, this is the first combo. I think this combo is really, really cool. All you need is Branded Fusion and Dramaturge of Despia. You can have this in play, so you can actually summon this with the you can summon this with Branded Opening, or not Branded Opening, it's Branded Opening, Branded Opening. You can summon this card with Branded Opening, so even if you don't draw it, you can still use it, and Branded Fusion, and then this is just a random card to discard. But I actually really like this card. I haven't cut it yet because it's a really cool extender, and it's a free negate essentially. So all we're gonna do is activate Branded Fusion. With Branded Fusion, we're gonna summon Albion. We're gonna send Bystial Lubellion and Fallen of Albaz to summon out the Albion. We're going to activate the effect of Albion to fuse. We're going to banish. We're going to go ahead and summon the. Where is it at? The Lubellion, and we're going to banish the Fallen of Albaz. Actually, not Fallen. Yeah, Fallen of Albaz and Dramaturge. We're going to banish those two, summon Lubellion. We're going to activate both effects, the Lubellion and the Dramaturge. We're going to chain block, so we're going to activate the Lubellion first, discard for cost, and we're going to activate the Dramaturge to summon itself back. Basically, if Dramaturge is banished for a fusion summon, you can summon it back. And then, of course, you could fusion summon with the Bystial Lubellion. I mean, the regular Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. And now, to fusion summon, we're going to summon Mirror Jade. We're going to use the Lubellion on field and the Fallen of Albaz that's banished, so to summon our Mirror Jade. So now that Mirror Jade is summoned, a fusion monster has been summoned. So we're going to activate the effect of Dramaturge. Dramaturge, basically, when a monster is fusion summoned while it's on the field, you can negate a monster on the field. So we're going to negate our Mirror Jade. No, we don't want to chain anything. So now Mirror Jade is negated, and this is very important. So we're going to activate the effect of Mirror Jade. Since Mirror Jade is negated, we have to send for cost, but if the Mirror Jade doesn't resolve, it doesn't count as us using the Mirror Jade effect. So we're going to be able to actually use the Mirror Jade effect on our opponent's turn. Plus, because it's negated, it won't actually banish any of our cards. So now we're going to send the Brigand, the Glory Dragon. It'll be negated, and since it didn't successfully banish anything, next turn we're still going to be able to banish our opponent's monster. Now we're going to special summon the Bystial Lubellion by tributing Albion, and since Albion got tributed and sent to the graveyard instead of banished or shuffled back or anything like that, we're actually going to be able to use the Albion effect too. Now we're going to special summon Bystial Lubellion, activate the effect of Bystial Lubellion. You have three fantastic options. Branded Lost, basically from here on in, will make it almost impossible for our opponent to respond to our fusion summons. You can do this. Yeah, because it'll basically, when we activate Branded in red, our opponent won't be able to respond. You can get Branded Regained, which is when a dark monster or light monster is banished. You can target one of them, put them in your deck, and then draw a card, which is really cool. And basically, yeah, that's really awesome. And then also it revives Bystial monsters, which is also cool. If we had those in rotation right now, that would be a really good interruption too. And then the other option we have is the Branded Beasts, which basically lets us tribute a dragon monster and then pop a card our opponent controls. And also, if we have a branded continuous spawn trap card in the graveyard, we can place it onto our field, which this is actually relevant because if we're playing against a lot of tier limits, for example, there's a chance that Branded Regained or Branded Lost get milled to the graveyard. So this can actually be an additional +1. So if we pick Branded Beast and this got milled by an Ishizu card, or this got milled by an Ishizu card, we basically not only get this, but during the end phase we also would get one of these cards. But typically in the normal setup, usually Branded Beast is the best option here. So again, this doesn't seem like a very imposing board right now, but we're going to go to end phase, activate both effects, the Brigand, and to add the Mercurier to hand. And then we're also going to Albion to get the Branded in red, and we're going to set it face down right here. So this is our end board off of essentially 2 cards. It could have been, it's actually quite a strong end board off of just 2 cards. We've got a ton of things to do. So number 1, we have the Branded Beast, which we contribute our Bystial Lubellion in order to pop a card. Meaning we can pop the Mystic Shine Ball, or yeah, any number of things. We can pop the Mystic Shine Ball. We can I'm sorry, we can pop any monster, not just this Mystic Shine Ball. We basically contribute to pop a card. We have the Dramaturge, which is when we fusion summon, we can negate a monster on the field, which that can be useful. We have the Mirror Jade, which can banish our opponent's a monster our opponent controls. Plus, we're going to be able to send another Albion to the graveyard and get an additional search at the end phase. And then on top of that, we have access to Branded in Red, which will give us access to the Goat, which is the Guardian Chimera, which we can summon on our opponent's turn. But we can also summon other stuff like Trichospolia if we wanted that. We can summon a variety of other cards if we needed to, but most importantly, we can summon the Chimera and then pop up to 2 monsters and draw a card, or draw 2 cards and pop a monster. So we also have access to that. And then on top of that, since we control a monster that has Fallen of Albaz in its fusion material, we can negate a monster effect. And again, this is all off of just 2 cards, which is actually kind of incredible. Yeah, 2 cards, and we have... And by the way, we didn't burn our normal summon. This is 2 cards, and we didn't burn our normal summon. So in reality, this could have been Branded Fusion, it could have been Branded Opening, and it could have been it could have also just been a Luber. Like, any one of those things would have done this entire combo. Basically, any one of those cards plus a Dramaturge would have ended on all of this, which is really quite incredible. And it's why I haven't really cut Dramaturge. I think he's just a really, really good extender, and he works incredibly well with Mirror Jade. But yeah, just off of 2 cards, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions, plus the whatever the Guardian Chimera would do. So we have basically like 6+ interruptions off of just 2 cards. So that is, and we get a search at the end phase because we will activate Mirror Jade. So that is essentially combo number 1. All right, here we've got combo number 2. There's another quite simple one. You just need a Luber, Branded, Opening, or basically any of that stuff. Just any other monster in hand. Basically, you just need a Luber, access to a Luber, Branded Fusion, and a monster. And just this can be a random card just for discard. But basically, it's going to be a bread and butter combo. You're going to normal summon a Luber, activate the effect of a Luber to search. We are going to search out the Branded Fusion, activate the Branded Fusion to summon Albion. We're going to send Bystial Lubellion plus Fallen of Albaz to the graveyard, summon the Albion. Yes, we're going to activate the effect of Albion. In order to special summon, Albion will help us get to, where is the Lubellion? We're going to put back the Fallen of Albaz, or banish the Fallen of Albaz and the Luber on the field to summon the Lubellion. The Searing Dragon, activate the effect of Lubellion, discard. In order to special summon, we're going to summon Mirror Jade. We're going to use the Lubellion on field and the Fallen of Albaz, both of those. Now we're going to activate the effect of Bystial Lubellion, again tributing the Albion. Now we want to basically, now that Lubellion has come out, you always want to keep the Albion on board, because putting it in grave, you now have a way to basically get rid of it that's not banishing, and it'll give you a free search at the end phase. So we're going to tribute in order to summon the Bystial Lubellion. Now we're going to activate the effect of Bystial Lubellion. In order, again, to use one of these effects, you have 3 options, essentially. As always, Branded Lost, Branded Regained, Branded Beast. Branded Beast is generally going to be the best option. And then if our opponent has... yeah, it's generally going to be the best option, especially if one of these 2 gets milled, because then you get not only this, but one of these 2. So we're going to get Branded Beast, activate it directly. And now we're just going to go to the end phase here. We're going to activate the effect of the Albion at the end phase. And Albion will give us a variety of options. We can get either Branded in Red, or just for the showcasing in the video, you can actually get the Branded Retribution, which is basically a counter trap. It can negate a monster spell or trap. And basically, as long as you have 2 fusion monsters in the graveyard, you can negate a monster spell or trap, which is really cool. And then it has a second effect, which lets you banish this and then add back a Branded spell trap card to your hand. So basically, it's like a, say like a +2 we're going just off of the sending the Albion Dragon. So we're going to set that, and then... so our opponent's turn, And basically what do we have here? We have we can destroy a card by tributing our Lubellion, by tributing it with Branded Beast. We also have the Mirror Jade, which is obviously a non-targeting banish. And then we've got the Branded Retribution, which will allow us to negate a monster spell or trap. And on top of negating a monster spell or trap, we can not only can we negate a monster spell or trap, but we can also banish this card and then add back a Branded Fusion to our hand. You can't use both effects in one turn, but that doesn't really matter all that much, because it doesn't really matter because we're going to negate on this turn. Next turn we're going to get back the Branded Fusion, and we're going to actually activate the Branded Fusion. Really good. And also it returns monsters to the extra deck from our graveyard, which will allow us to essentially recycle our monsters, which is really cool. And on top of that, this card is actually quite good when it's milled to the graveyard by an Ichizu card, for example, because you can, if this is milled plus Branded Fusion, for example, you can get a Branded Fusion for free, and you can essentially get a free combo starter for yourself off of your opponent milling, which is really, really cool. So that's the other end board. This is kind of like a bread and butter combo. But yeah, this is quite another combo here. All right, next combo is quite simple. It's going to require a Luber and either Bystial Lubellion or Bystial Magnema, but honestly, any Bystial monster will work. If you have like one of the other Bystials, like Druis Worm or something, you won't get the end phase search, but it's not the end of the world because you'll still be able to do a lot. So first we're going to activate Bystial Lubellion, send itself to the graveyard in order to get a Bystial Magnema to hand. And next we're going to summon the Luber onto the field, activate the effect of Luber in order to add the Branded Fusion. Now with Branded Fusion, we're going to activate the effect of Branded Fusion in order to essentially special summon the Rimbrand, which we haven't summoned yet, but we're going to send Tri-Brigade Mercourier and Fallen of Alabast to the graveyard in order to summon the Rimbrand. Now we're going to activate the effect of the Bystial Magnema we searched to banish the Tri-Brigade Mercourier, summon it onto the field, activate the effect of the Magnemut, and activate the effect of Mercourier. We should have chain blocked the other way, but honestly, if they had ashed, they would have already ashed the Branded Fusion. We're going to add the Blazing Cartesia because it lists Fallen of Alabast in its text. Now, since we have a Fallen of Alabast in the graveyard, we can special summon the Blazing Cartesia. If Blazing Cartesia is on the field, she can fusion summon, which is really cool, but also something to pay attention to with her is that she is actually a tuner. Now, we're locked out of all extra deck summoning other than fusion summoning right now, so we couldn't synchro summon this turn. But what's cool about her is she adds herself back at the end phase, and as a follow-up, the next turn you can actually synchro summon with her, and her levels are really, really good because she's a level 4 tuner, and Magnemut and all of the Bystials other than Lubellion are all level 6 dragons, so you can easily make a Baron de Fleur on the follow-up, which is really, really cool. So now we're going to activate Blazing Cartesia to fusion summon the Dust Dragon, which is, we're going to use the Luber, plus we're going to use the Blazing Cartesia in order to summon the Dust Dragon. Dust Dragon is summoned. You can activate its effect to send a card to our graveyard, which is going to be the Albion we're going to send to the graveyard. And now we can do a few more things here. So we can either leave the Bystial Magnemut on the field, and basically we're going to have 2 graveyard interruptions, or we can use the effect of the Bystial Lubellion to tribute the Magnemut in order to special summon itself, and then we can get essentially get another branded card into play. So it's really up to you what you want to do. You can either use the Bystial Lubellion to get like another branded card here, or you can simply, and then also that will come with a variety of things, or we can just have 2 graveyard interruptions. It's up to you. It matters, which deck you're playing against. If you're playing against tier limits, you want more graveyard interruptions. If you're playing against like just decks in general, you want to have the pop and stuff like that. But I'll just show you this version here. So now we're going to head to the end phase, and we have 3 effects that are going to go off. Number 1, Bystial Magnemut, which is going to add our Druis Worm, and then we're going to use the other effect, which is the Blazing Cartesia, to add itself back for free. And then we're going to activate the effect of Albion to essentially get a branded card from our deck. So we're going to add the branded in red. We're going to add it to hand, not set it, because we want to activate it immediately. We haven't used it yet. So now we're going to activate the branded in red. We're going to banish or add back the Fallen of Albaz from our graveyard, and we're going to fusion summon immediately. We're going to make a Mirror Jade, which is going to use the Dust Dragon plus the Fallen of Albaz. Now we're going to activate the effect of Mirror Jade in the end phase to banish our own card. We're going to send the Brigand because we haven't yet, and then we are going to negate our own Mirror Jade because it doesn't banish it or destroy it or anything. So we're going to negate our own Mirror Jade, and we can return a monster, which we're going to do. We're going to return our own Magnamut, so we have an additional interruption during our opponent's turn. Also, since our Mirror Jade was negated, we can actually, since the Mirror Jade was actually negated, we have the option to use the banish effect during our opponent's turn. So just like combo number 1, we basically, since Mirror Jade's negated, it never successfully used its effect, you can use it again the following turn, which is really cool. Now we're going to activate the Brigand the Glory Dragon that we sent to the graveyard to add our Marcourier to our hand. And this is basically our end board, which is pretty good. We have a banish, we have a negate of an opponent's monster, that a monster effect that is basically a fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link monster. We basically have a negate, and then we can bounce, which is really cool. And that bounce is actually non-targeting, which is another really cool thing about it. We have our non-targeting banish, non-targeting bounce, and what's cool is actually we can negate our own Mirror Jade if we have to, and then bounce another card, which is really, really cool. Yeah, it's just an awesome effect there. And then on top of that, we have the Marcourier, which negates a monster effect. And then we have 2 cards in graveyard that, 2 cards in our hand that can banish cards in our opponent's graveyard or our graveyard. So this is very, very good against tier limits. If they send something, we can essentially just banish their tier limit cards. So we have 2 graveyard banishes for light and dark. So we have a monster negate, we have a extra deck monster negate, and we have a non-targeting banish and the non-targeting bounce. So our opponent will do something here. We're going to turn off the manual chaining. There you go. Our opponent will do something, and just for the hell of it, I'm going to activate the Mirror Jade. We're going to send an Albion, banish their monster. They're going to go to end phase. We're going to obviously have all these interruptions. Albion end phase, we'll be able to grab a card. We're going to grab... it doesn't really matter what you grab. I guess you can grab the branded fusion, branded opening. Let's say branded opening, we'll just grab, add it to hand. On the follow-up, what we can do, and this is really cool, is we can summon, we can banish one of our graveyard cards. So let's say the Albion in the graveyard, we can banish the Albion in the graveyard to summon the Bystial Magnamut. And since we control a fusion monster, or Fallen of Albaz is in our graveyard, as far as I know, it's not in our graveyard, but I mean, it's not at the end of the world. We could just normal summon the Cartesia, and since we haven't activated Branded Fusion at all, we can actually make a Baron de Fleur as a follow-up play to help us essentially win the game here, because this will drop in gates if they have any like grind game, kind of like battle traps or anything like that. It'll help, and also this card can pop a card our opponent controls, so we have between the banishes, the negates, and all of these other interruptions, we have on top of that, we can make a Baron de Fleur on the follow-up, which is really, really, really strong. And also, not only Baron de Fleur, but we can also make a Blazing Cartesia as a level 4. So Blazing Cartesia, like for example, with a Luber, will make any level 8 synchro in the game, which is also really strong. But I just think that Baron de Fleur is just much, much stronger than any of the level 8 synchros available. But in theory, you can make like Psyframe Lord Omega and stuff like that. But I think this is more than enough combos for this video. Obviously, lots of cool stuff that you can do. Thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day. La, 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 la.